Hello and welcome to the Nonsense Chronicles. This is Doug Sashery, and as always, I am joined by
Rob Mendiola.
Hey Rob, how you doing today, buddy?
A little out of breath today.
Cold weather getting you?
I think so, man. Just a little cold and cloudy and gray.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that we do not hit any ice tomorrow. When I was a kid, it was all fun and games, but now that I pool pump and whatever else, it's a little bit different story.
Cool thing, it's a holiday tomorrow, so I don't have to go in.
That's good.
Very nice.
That's good.
I'll take it.
But you know as well as I do that you'll be getting 20 texts.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Always working on holidays and weekends, but it's all good, man.
And
what you got today, man?
Well, today we're joined by a friend. It's Brett Henderson. How you doing, Brett?
Good.
Brett.
How are you guys doing today?
Very good.
So far, so good,
Yeah.
man. We're bundled up.
We're early today, man.
We are early. This is instead of the later day podcast. It's usually the sun going down. Yeah, it's early.
What are we, 2 o'clock? Almost.
Yeah,
We beat it.
we did do. We are actually on time today.
Yep.
But no, Brett. Being from South Louisiana.
Oh, Brett, you're from South Louisiana?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I'm leading into my long story.
Oh, yeah. This is always about you, right?
It is. Gotta make it about me.
Yeah.
But I joined this group of friends who just, I guess, around they bought my services maybe in January 2020 is when we got together before the S hit the fan, and it was for charity, but there were a lot of hunters in that group, and Brett is one of them. In fact, what we're here today to talk about is Brett is deeply involved with Ducks Unlimited, which is something from my childhood that I appreciated, but I never knew how much until after 2 years of poking me with a stick, he finally got me to go back to a banquet, and he just realized how much fun that is. But Ducks Unlimited is so good. People are like, good, is it just hunters? No, it's so much about conservation. But I'm not here to talk about it today because there's somebody here that knows a heck of a lot more than me.
Yeah.
I hope I do.
Yeah.
So what is Ducks Unlimited? What is the main goal?
So Ducks Unlimited is a habitat conservation organization. So it was founded in 1937 during the Dust Bowl.
Wow.
And a bunch of sportsmen all got together and figured out that they needed to do something to make sure there is still habitat, not only for waterfowl, but all the other species that use waterfowl or the wetlands. And then also they already understood the necessity to have clean water to support just people as well. So a lot of these restoration projects that they, raise money for and invest back into it's not only supporting ducks, but it's supporting all those other animals. And then it's also making sure that we have clean water as humans to use, as well as flood mitigation plans as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these wetlands are natural barriers rather than building out retention ponds and everything else.
Right.
Louisiana knows that very much so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They've had a lot of practice.
A road and coastline,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, so you're saying that during the Dust Bowl, they saw the wrong use of what the wrong use of land could do.
Correct.
Yeah. They said, well, let's. Yeah, I don't know how long it took them. I don't know. Did they find out? Did they know right then and there that they need 10 years of analysts?
I think they just knew that instinctively that they needed to do something to start buying up land to compete, to prevent some of the commercial agriculture from just going in, stripping it out of all of its nutrition, flattening things out, and there weren't any natural water stores anymore. So if you look like in the upper central area of the United States, it used to be all potholes, and those potholes held water, and farmers were going up there and they're just leveling everything and using it for crops and cattle and everything else. So whenever it would rain, it wasn't storing. It was just running off into the rivers, running down, and then they didn't have it. So it was some practices like that where these guys were raising money, going out and leasing private property and putting easements on it and saying, hey, we'll help with these things. We'll give you this money. And it should offset the money that you would have gotten if you'd leased it out to a commercial farmer.
Yeah, that's if the ducks don't have any place to fly, they won't be coming back.
No,
So, and everything that feeds on the ducks and everything the ducks feed on, that whole ecosystem is affected by that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it's a lot more than that, you know. And I mentioned it for a second. You know, Louisiana, like I said, you know, they talked about a pipeline in the Dakotas, and every one of them's important. You want it to stay clean, and Ducks Unlimited is definitely about keeping stuff clean. But if you look at a map of the United States, and you can do this on Google, you can look and see where do the pipelines run. And Louisiana is like one big red line. Everything comes up. See, when I grew up hunting in Louisiana, as tradition was, if you got lost, well, you wouldn't get lost usually, but they would tell you, if you get lost, go to the clearing, which is where the pipeline is.
Right.
And there wouldn't be a pipeline. You wouldn't see it. I mean, every
Yeah.
once in a while, but it's all on the ground. And
But those easements.
Yeah, you'd walk out to the pipeline, you know, because everything is not too far from the water. Everything is water there. But, yeah, so getting around to the point that Louisiana's coastline, man, because of hurricanes, but because that's where the United States gets most of its oil and gas from, that has an effect on our coastline, man, and big time. And you better protect it, because if you don't, there won't be a place to, you know, where you have the stations to collect that stuff. Well, it's going to be underwater. It's safely on land now, but if you don't protect that coastline, that water is going to keep coming up and eroded. And not only that, you get seafood and everything else from there. We talk about ducks and all that, but it's a much bigger deal than that. But it's the whole structure. So that's Ducks Unlimited doing their part is huge. And you know, Brett, how is it over here with, you know, we talked a little bit about that the other day, but how is it with getting the young kids to come out?
So we've been pretty successful with my local chapter with getting kids to come out. We've made it a point to make it a family-oriented event, and we have various raffles and games and stuff for the kids to come out and play and keep them engaged. That way, not only are the kids getting engaged at a young age and having that experience like what you had, but it also allows the parents to come out and not have to worry about getting a babysitter or somebody to watch the kids and that sort of thing. And it's a, you know, safe environment where kids can run off into their corner, and they have their whole mini carnival set up over there. Basically, they have raffle games, and they're winning things, and they're having a good time and really kind of understanding it. And, you know, some chapters even go as far to have a kid-only auction item. And in order to bid on this particular item in their live auction, you have to be a kid. I mean, obviously, you're bidding with your parents' permission.
Yeah.
Because somebody has to write the check.
Right.
That's
Right.
But yeah, so it's just getting them involved and
Educating.
and we have these Green Wing Days that we call them, and youth education days, and we've partnered with the state of Texas, the Texas Parks and Wildlife, and then also with FFA, and we've created education courses that are taught in the FFA programs. It's one of the optional classes they can take. We have these field days where they actually go out with some of our biologists, and they see some of the programs that we're working on, and also some of these state parks that support the same conservation efforts, even though they're not necessarily DU projects.
And see, that's a good deal, man. You know, especially to me as a kid, like I said, there's a chapter meeting over here or a banquet. Hell, I can go to multiple of them because it's back or the front of the year. But in St. Landry Parish in Opelousas, when I was a kid, there was one a year held at the Amberley building and with the parade grounds. And yeah, I thought growing up, we set up a table up front. I just thought it was free. I didn't realize until I got older, oh, wait, no, that wasn't free. But I really appreciate it. I told my dad that not too long ago about how it got back involved with that and what of a big deal it meant to me growing up. I really loved it. I mean, my dad and my brother hunted a lot more than me because I played sports, but I hunted every year. But that was always a big deal too, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
And
and
I'm glad you started coming back out. Like,
me too,
finally
man.
twisted your arm enough.
Yeah, my friends over there, the Ingalls, they're all looking forward to it now. It's a mandatory. Yeah,
Great.
yeah, they're stuck in.
So where are the largest or the most active areas for ducks in that kind of wildlife?
So the ducks have 4 major flyways that they use to migrate from like Canada, the boreal area, down to Mexico, and we're currently in the Central Flyway. And Katy used to be one of the biggest holdover
Right.
places back before it became the town of Katy
Mm-hmm.
now. So they're kind of moving a little bit east, a little bit south.
Mm-hmm.
We still get a lot of waterfowl activity down on the coast. And as a result of that, whenever DU is investing money in Texas and carving out their Texas programs, most of them are coastal. And we do take in partners with other conservation groups and also Parks and Wildlife. And there's a national organization, U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And then there's a NACA fund. So we're getting partner money from everywhere and matching money. And we do these projects along the coastline. And we're restoring a bunch of those barrier islands and making sure that the intercoastal isn't like completely washing out certain things. So that's the focus in this area, because we recognize that a lot of those ducks are still hitting that coastline and riding the coastline down to their ultimate wintering grounds.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, that has to be I mean, you're doing the state and the nation, actually, the government, a big favor by private interests, not private. I mean, it's not one person, but a group coming together and doing that. So yeah, they would have to put funds in that, or they should be very supportive.
Yeah. So there's a certain amount of money every year is dog-eared through the federal budget, and it goes to these various conservation groups. And so what someone like Ducks Unlimited will do is they'll go raise, last year they raised just over $10 million in Texas, and then they'll take that money. They'll get it matched up with Texas Parks and Wildlife initiatives, and that's all money that's raised off of hunting licenses. And then they take that and they apply it against the NACA fund, which is the North American Wetlands Conservation Act. And then that matches the funds that those two organizations provided. And then there's a couple other channels we can go to. So each jump we make, we're multiplying our money by various factors, and that's how we're funding all these projects that we're doing.
And that benefits more than just ducks, right? I mean, it's benefiting
Yeah.
probably your geese,
Yep.
cranes.
All waterfowl, all sorts of non-migratory species that live in those wetlands. So you have various, deer. It helps with kind of the free range type of livestock that's out there. So there's all sorts of animals.
Nutria.
There you go. There you go. They're a vital part of the
They're
wetlands.
vital, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They're not so cute, but they do.
You don't want them in your backyard, but you want them around in the environment for sure.
Hey, you can eat them.
Can you really?
Yes, you can.
Doug
you
will
would
cook
know.
anything.
Yeah, Louisiana, man. Yeah.
If you put Tony Satchery on it, it's good, right?
That's right.
That's right. But no, is there any specific way besides? I guess I don't even know. Is there any specific way to attract those ducks onto, like, say it's west of Katy by south? I would guess maybe say southwest of Katy by 15 miles. Is there a good place? I mean, is there something that you could do in that area on water to attract them to fly in?
So there's a lot of natural resources that are over there. So once you start getting west of Katy, you start getting back out into the no man's land of Texas again. Eagle Lake is a very popular spot, and it's kind of southwest of Katy, and then you have the Garwood areas. So you're getting into those prairies, and a lot of the ducks and the waterfowl and cranes and everything else, they're slowly going that way. So there's, from a hunter perspective, there's a lot of opportunity out there to work with guides or work with lease groups and that sort of thing, and go out there and hunt and have a good experience. And then they're even going east too. So there's a lot of opportunity for them to find like the rice fields and stuff over in the Winnie area. So
Every
That's true.
year we have the ducks and the geese flying right over our house, like literally right over our house.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
all the time, and it's really loud. It's cool.
Yeah, I miss the sound of geese flying over my house. I remember growing up
Oh, yeah.
on the west side of Houston before Katy was what it was, and we'd just hear the geese just flowing into the Katy area.
Yeah.
And that's when we knew that it was duck season. And my dad took me out a couple times, and I was barely big enough to hold a shotgun properly and shoot it, but I enjoyed sitting out there and watching the birds fly.
You hear them, it's
But even now, the development out here is just getting so fast, and
I bet.
I'm afraid that's going to disappear as well.
Yeah.
yeah. I never realized a lot of that stuff. The night sky, the sound of animals, the squirrels doing that barking. My wife, what's that the other day? I was like, that's a squirrel. I just, yeah, I mean, because I was raised out, outside of a town of 20,000. So, yeah, it's, you never know how much you appreciate it until you're away from a while. Like, wow, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that, they see hunters and you think, but hunters are the best conservationists they are. They really care.
Well, apparently you're raising quite a bit of money from the licenses alone, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So
not to mention private contributions.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty incredible.
I mean, they care about, they don't hunt stuff out of season.
Yeah.
They only shoot what you're supposed to shoot. You can't shoot a doe during, when it's
usually
buck season.
pretty disciplined. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of responsible hunters out there. I mean,
Exactly.
Sadly, there's some that don't necessarily hold those same values, but
There's always
that's few and far between.
Yeah,
compared to
there's
the-
always
the
going to be
general
that.
public.
Yeah, but the hunter, the guys that are serious into it, they're serious also about following the rules.
Yeah.
On that. And I have an old friend that's out right now. He's and he came to the thing. Roy White. He came and he's musket hunting right now. Like musket.
Wow.
Now, what is it? Is
That's
it
serious.
now? See, in my head, because we never did that. Is this like the old drop the powder
Yeah.
down and
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure is.
So the guns are a little more advanced these days. So you're not, it's not a bell at the end of the
the ducks aren't wearing red?
No,
deer aren't wearing red coats.
but no, I mean, I know a bunch of people that do the black powder hunting, and it's hand loaded and everything else. So it's
That's
a
cool.
neat activity. I haven't personally done it. I've had the opportunity to, and it just never had the complete package, I guess. So
Yeah.
sat out in the cold with the loaded gun and just unloaded the gun and got back in my car and left later.
Yeah,
That's
'Cause,
what's
yeah.
always kept me from duck hunting. The
yeah. Duck hunting usually.
wet, cold.
Yeah.
Duck hunting
Yeah.
usually is a boat in a, not in a deep. You're in a flat boat that can go right above where the water's not really that deep,
Yeah.
and you go get on a stand that's on the water usually, or on a bank if you're down to bayou,
So a lot of the stuff around here, in the leases that I've been a part of, it's all on rice fields. So we'll go and
Yeah.
put pit blinds and levee blinds on the side of the rice fields, and they're flooded about, anywhere from 12 to 18 inches of water. And
Cold water.
yeah, oh yeah, it's cold water. So sometimes, I mean, other times, it's Texas. You could
Yeah.
be hunting
That's
ducks in
true.
90-degree weather in the middle
Yeah,
of the
that
winter.
is true.
So,
Yeah, it's
true.
like us. Like I tell you about my cousins. Yeah, they usually a lot of times they would go to. There's different places they go, but they would go to like South Arkansas.
yeah.
Anywhere where there's a lot of rice being done. That's good.
Oh yeah, yeah. So those flooded rice fields are a big attractant for ducks. So, and there's some places around Texas that have done a lot of work to restore rice farms into their native prairie habitat. So they're bringing in a lot of the original grasses and seeding plants that were out there, and they keep them with the right amount of water so that it looks like it did, 100 years ago.
So are these ducks hitting the crawfish farms?
That's what crawfish, those fields, what they naturally are for.
Rice.
Rice.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's why Louisiana has a lot of duck and a lot of geese. You know,
Yeah.
seen many a muddy friend with pictures, holding up his geese.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a picture that Brett sent me years ago because I love to do a gumbo with goose breasts, and I was curious if Brett was going up to, was it South?
I was in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was curious if he was going to come. And they opened the back of this SUV, and there was a ton of hunters. And man, they did real well that day. Just to say, anybody I show that photo to, they're like, "Oh my God, yeah."
Yeah. That was a fun time. So we were up there originally for pheasant hunt, but all the ducks and geese started coming in, so we stayed a little bit longer and took advantage of that. And we had a couple really good days with the geese coming in. So they're just hitting the plowed out cornfields looking for scraps of corn. And we had a group of, I think, 10 guys across the entire field. And yeah, we loaded up the back of a Suburban with these huge geese. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And see, like here, like in South Louisiana, it's a ecosystem that shares. So in other words, my cousins hunt, my friends hunt, I visit. They have freezers. Yeah, like
So you went out for duck, but then geese started coming.
Yeah.
Did you have to change your rounds?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
did?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I was
absolutely.
wondering
So-
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't. You want a little bit heavier shot whenever
Yeah.
you're going with those bigger animals coming through.
Yeah, geese are tough, I heard.
Oh yeah. So we had a couple that were hit solidly and still landed on the ground and took off running.
Wow.
And
Jesus.
the guide that we had didn't. I think he was too young to afford like a good set of hunting dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So he had his little assistant out there running after the geese in the field, trying to tackle it, and the goose is pecking at him. It was
Yeah.
the funniest thing. We were all just rolling in the blind laughing.
Oh,
So-
my
Did you give him a
God.
treat after he got back?
yeah. We tipped him really well at the end of the day. So
Here's your treat, boy.
That's very cool.
Yeah. What is it? Is it lab still the?
labs are still the predominant choice for duck hunting, and it's
German short-haired, good.
GSPs not so much.
so good?
They
'Cause of
do
the cold?
great. Yeah, it's because of
Okay.
the cold. They don't have that layer of fat
Yes.
like a lab has.
Brittany Spaniels.
So yeah, sometimes Brittany's. I've used my Brittany mainly for
Quail.
pheasant and quail.
Yeah, same
He
here.
loves that.
Yeah.
So, but one of the guys I hunt with, I have a house down in Matagorda on the South Shoreline, and he runs GSPs because him and his dad and his brother are big into quail hunting as well. And his GSPs do a great job whenever the water hadn't gotten too cold and
Yeah.
the air temperature is pretty decent. But once it gets cold,
Kind of know their limits, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want them coming out all shivering and
Yeah, that's not good for them.
yeah.
I actually never knew that. I never knew they were used as retrievers. I knew labs and Brittany's, were used, but I never knew that. So that's a
Yeah, GSPs are pretty good at it too.
Yeah, they're good dog. Hunting
yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
You'll see that dog swim across that water with that duck in his mouth.
Oh yeah.
And how they don't eat it or want to eat it, I don't know. But they better get something good. They know they'll get a treat for doing their job.
Oh yeah. They get their dinner, they get praise, they get treats. And
Yeah,
they live like kings during hunting season.
yeah, they
So
do.
They love it.
Y'all avoid all the lead shot now? Is it all steel or is that an issue?
It's all steel and
Do they
kind of
even allow
metric
lead?
cells. No, lead is not allowed
Okay.
anywhere in the state of Texas. So,
Cool. That's good.
Yeah. I think.
Contamination, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's still somewhat accepted for like dove hunting over dry fields, but if you're
Okay.
shooting over water, you're not supposed to be using lead at all.
Cool.
So I don't even remember the last time I've seen lead shot on the shelf.
Good.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lead is bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, you definitely don't want to.
And you don't want to be consuming something that
No, that's
Living
what
on
I'm saying
lead.
because
No,
the
no.
fish and everything
Yeah.
else, man. You
Yeah.
just there's so much that in South Texas, Southeast Texas, and
we already have enough runoff of everything
yeah,
else.
and
so-
South Louisiana. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you there's so much coexistence with the land. Like you're eating fish and you're eating seafood. You don't want that running off. It
Yeah.
just Eventually, there's a price to pay.
Yeah. We got enough pesticides and
fertilizer.
Yeah, fertilizer, all that
everything
stuff
else
that's-
dumping into the bays.
you don't need extra.
Yeah,
It don't need any help.
Is there any tracking? I think there is. Isn't there tracking that they can? Do they? I know there's tags, but do they have any kind of radar that somebody follows?
No, they do annual banding of birds.
Banding.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you shoot a bird with a band, you're encouraged to call the number on the tag just to report the bird. There's no prize or penalty or anything like that. It's just helping them with their
Data.
harvest information. But
Right.
the next year when they go and they net these birds to band them again, if they re-net a bird that's already been banded, they take all that information off of them too. So, and there's been birds turn up with, they're 7, 8 years old, ever being banded and still flying high and doing their thing. So it's cool.
And I know there's various sites that are doing water testing,
Yeah.
by state and all that. But is there a good site to kind of check water quality for areas?
I wish there was. I don't know of one, but that'd be
Yeah.
really good information to
That would be.
to have. Yeah.
Yeah. That's. Well, did you? Let's see. Well, you grew up outside of Katy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just on the west side of Houston, so kind of Memorial area.
Where was the hunting grounds for you when you were a kid?
Katy.
Katy, yeah.
Katy,
Okay.
absolutely.
For everyone.
Oh yeah, off of Fry Road.
those are all
Mason
rice
Road.
fields.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Wow.
You drive through those roads at night, and you can just roll your windows down, and listen to the geese quacking all night long. It was
Well, there was
incredible.
everything out there. It was,
Yeah, yeah, that old igloo
Jackrabbit
plant,
and-
and yeah,
yeah.
So
That's amazing. Yeah, like I said, that's. I think people underestimate how important that is. And until something's gone, you really don't know. And hopefully that because of organizations like Ducks Unlimited and our wildlife and fishery departments that that'll never happen.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you know, the other benefit that the prairies have was it was a watershed for Houston. You know, for the longest time, there's no construction beyond like Addicks Reservoir.
Right.
Because that's the reservoir. It's holding the water back, and then all of a sudden they start popping up neighborhoods and, you know, inside the reservoir, and they start flattening out a lot of these areas that were traditionally just watersheds. And, you know, concrete doesn't absorb water. It runs it off.
Well, we saw,
redirects
we
it.
all learned what happens with
Harvey.
Harvey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Personally, I had a
Yeah.
4.5 feet of water in my house.
Yeah, he
wow.
did. I mean, they showed me the water line,
Yeah.
and it was up to like the light fixture on the side of the
That's why
house.
when I bought my house, the first thing I'd look at is elevation,
Yeah.
runoff.
Yeah,
Doing the
Absolutely.
geoscience work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was like, nope, I'm not dealing with that.
yeah. We had a lot of landing sites available that particular. In fact, the 610 loop makes quite the moat around the city of Houston.
Yeah.
God, yeah. But no, that's
Yeah, you got to protect these areas, man.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so many benefits to it. I mean,
Yeah.
not just, you know, providing hunting opportunity, but making sure that there's clean water and that there's controlled water.
Yeah.
And,
And I know
limit
Texas Parks
flooding.
Wildlife has been purchasing up even more land
yeah.
out west and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So,
So, and the Harris County Flood Control District has been doing a lot with buying up land and doing what they can to improve the creeks and the bayou system and that sort of thing, unclogging a bunch of it. Because I think that was part of the problem where we were is they had done a lot of improvements upstream from us, but not downstream. So that downstream acted like a natural dam with, you know, trees that, you know, fell over during the tax day flood the year before. And they were subject to dying anyways because of the drought the year before that. So they were already dead and they just fell off into the bayous and then, you know, formed what would have been a beaver dam if
Yeah.
we still had beavers running
Right.
around. So,
yep.
Yeah, that'll do it every time. But yeah, that's what we came to discuss today: Ducks Unlimited, conservation, and
So what's planned for the year for Ducks Unlimited? DU.
So Tomball they are the kickoff event for the year. So that will be February 1st. And then shortly thereafter, I think on the 2nd, you have, I can't remember which chapter it was now. I was looking at it earlier today. I know the 3rd is Cypress Prairie chapter. So it's right there off the 290 area. And then there's also one up in Big Thicket, which is the Cleveland area. And the banquet seasons run heavily between February and May, and then it kind of slows down a little bit during the summer, and then it picks back again like in September, and then it runs through November. And I mean, last year nationally they held almost just a little over 4,300 events throughout the United States.
Wow.
And these are all volunteer-run chapters that are putting
Wow.
on these events. None of these are, you know, we have a handful of paid employees. The state of Texas probably has 7 people that are employees that are associated with the fundraising system, and then obviously we have some biologists and other scientists that are on staff as well. But otherwise, it's all volunteer-run. So there's a total of 1,600 or so volunteers in the state of Texas, representing 125 or 126 chapters. Each chapter puts on 1 to 2 events a year, and it's the events can range anywhere from 20 to 30 people making a few $1,000s to events like the Houston Gala is $1 million event. I mean, between the fundraising at the event and then all the major underwriters and everything else that come into it. And all that money goes back to Ducks Unlimited. So the thing they like to pride themselves on is at least 80% of every dollar they raise goes right back into the land.
Wow.
So in last year, they exceeded their target and hit 84%.
Wow. Are they doing any kind of like merch sales to help raise money or anything?
There's a little bit of licensing and branding that they do, but most of the merchandise that they contract out for goes back into the events. So when you
Okay.
go to a Ducks Unlimited event, you'll see quite a bit of DU branded items in the raffles and the auctions.
Okay.
And that's our major storefront. And that's how we treat each one of these chapters is you're only open one night out of the year. So you know, sell your stuff the best you can
Yeah.
and get the people in the hall and make sure you're having a good time. And I think that's where some chapters have done really well. So
And you go and you've got different businesses donate this, donate that. So in other words, it's not just one item from one company. I mean, there's some stuff like that, but also some of it is group stuff thrown into these big packages. It is such a fun night at Ducks Unlimited. Whether you win anything, you don't have to spend much money. You can go if you want, but it's just a really, really good time, and the money goes to benefit all of us. The animals, of course, but just the whole ecosystem of everything that we eat or drink. A lot Ducks Unlimited is doing nothing but protecting.
Well, cool. I look forward to an invite.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
Well, we got room for you, and it's
Of course, I do too. I drink my own Kool-Aid, so I buy my own tables at the events, and I make sure that I have people that are coming. So
and the Tomball Magnolia chapter, we make the Woodlands I can't say that word on here. No, it's the Tomball Magnolia chapter is
Pretty
really
impressive.
nice. Yeah, I love it. And
There's a lot of good people out there.
Yeah. I've been involved with that chapter, I think, for 14 years now, and I've held different positions there. I was the area chairman for a little bit, and we've grown that chapter from having about 100 attendees to, I think last year we were at 320 attendees, and we raised $230,000 gross.
Wow.
So after all expenses and everything else, we
pretty good.
still netted about $150,000 that went right back to the Ducks.
Nice.
And like I said, for us personally, and there's several in the area, Thursday, February 1st is the banquet.
That is the Tomball banquet this year.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you can go
That's the
online.
kickoff.
Yeah, that's the first one. It just so happens
First
that
one
we're
of the
the first
season.
one on the calendar. So
Cool.
and you can find a list of all the events at ducks.org, and then you can select your state for Texas, and it'll list out all the events that are coming up.
Okay.
And we don't have everything out through the end of the year, but as they get scheduled and dates are solidified, that list is constantly growing.
Ducks.org.
Ducks.org.
Got that.
And that's it for today.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah, Brett, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
having
coming
me.
out.
I appreciate it.
Anytime, man. It's a great cause, and I definitely like being a part of it. And you're going to get dragged.
That's okay.
Y'all all have a good time, man. Y'all
Nice.
will have a good time.
Yeah, we enjoy stuff like that.
So,
Go check us out.
And I'm all about nature and keeping that real.
Oh, good.
Keeping
Good.
that the way
We look
it's
forward to
supposed to
having
be.
you out.
Go check out Ducks Unlimited or ducks.org,
Ducks.org.
Yep.
and we will talk to you soon.